When you think of Texas, you probably picture cowboys, tumbleweeds, and oil rigs. But what if I told you that less than 10% of Texas is actually desert? Or that Texas has its own mountain ranges, was once an independent nation for nearly a decade, and is the birthplace of a world-famous soft drink? How did a 13-day siege at a dusty old mission become the defining moment that sparked a revolution and changed American history forever? What was the Archives War, and how did it nearly tear the young Republic of Texas apart over a few boxes of paper? We're about to uncover 50 of the most fascinating facts that make Texas one of a kind. From its sprawling, diverse landscapes to the legendary war that defined its independence, you're about to see the Lone Star State like never before. Fact 1. A state of 4 regions. Texas isn't just one flat, boring landscape. It's actually divided into 4 main physical regions: the Gulf Coastal Plains, the North Central Plains, the Great Plains, and the Basin and Range Province out west. This means you get an incredible variety of environments, from lush, swampy forests to arid, rocky deserts, each shaping everything from settlement patterns to modern industry. Fact 2. The immense scale of Texas. You've heard everything's bigger in Texas, and when it comes to land, it's no joke. Spanning over 268,000 square miles, Texas is the second largest state in the US, only behind Alaska. You could fit the 10 smallest US states inside its borders and still have room to spare. It's bigger than any single country in Western Europe, including France. Fact 3. The sprawling Gulf Coastal Plains. The largest of its regions is the Gulf Coastal Plains. This massive area stretches from the Sabine River all the way down the coast, covering roughly the eastern third of the state. These aren't just flatlands. They're part of the Great Coastal Plain that runs from the Atlantic Ocean down past the Rio Grande. And they've been the economic heart of Texas for centuries. Fact 4. The Balcones Escarpment, where the West begins. Marking the edge of the coastal plains is one of Texas's most important geological features, the Balcones Fault. It isn't a single cliff, but a huge fault zone that runs like a crescent-shaped scar from Del Rio up through San Antonio and Austin, and north toward Waco. It appears as a line of wooded hills that dramatically divides the flat plains from the rugged hill country. Many say this is where the American West truly begins. Fact 5. The subtropical Gulf Coast. Down on the coast, you'll find the wettest part of Texas. The Gulf Coast is its own world, full of marshes, swamps, and huge bays. This area is distinctly subtropical, crisscrossed by countless rivers on their journey to the Gulf of Mexico. It's a humid, dynamic environment that's prone to hurricanes, but is also incredibly fertile and teeming with life. Fact 6. The piney woods of East Texas. Head to the far eastern part of the state, near Louisiana and Arkansas, and you'll find yourself in the piney woods. This region is a dense forest of pines and hardwoods that gets more rain than anywhere else in Texas. It feels more like the deep south than the dusty west, with rolling hills, swamps, and a timber industry that's been around for over 100 years. Fact 7. The fertile prairies and lakes. Moving west from the piney woods, you hit the prairies and lakes region. This area is a mix of eastern forests and the great grasslands of the plains. Its rich, black soil makes it one of the most productive farming areas in the country, perfect for crops like cotton and corn, and a magnet for early American settlers. Fact 8. The rolling North Central Plains. Stretching from the middle of the state up to the Oklahoma border, the North Central Plains are classic cattle country, defined by rolling prairies and grasslands. The landscape here is dotted with mesas and cut by rivers, creating a topography that's less dramatic than other regions, but absolutely essential to the Texas ranching identity. Fact 9. The High Plains and the Panhandle. Covering the northernmost part of Texas is the Panhandle, which is part of the Great Plains. This is a high, windswept plateau, famous for its massive skies and endless horizons. It's incredibly flat, making it ideal for large-scale farming and, more recently, wind energy production. The Panhandle is a vital agricultural hub, producing a huge amount of the nation's beef and cotton. Fact 10. The dramatic Caprock Escarpment. One of the most stunning features of the Panhandle is the Caprock Escarpment. This is a long, steep wall of cliffs, marking the transition from the high plains down to the rolling plains in the east. In some spots, it creates breathtaking landscapes, like Palo Duro Canyon, the second largest canyon in the United States. Now, let's journey to the Texas that truly embodies the spirit of the West, a land of towering mountains, vast deserts, and deep solitude. This is West Texas, where nature's power is on full display. Fact 11. The tectonic forged mountains and basins. The westernmost part of Texas is known as the Basin and Range Province. This area was formed around 20 million years ago when the Earth's crust stretched and broke apart, creating around 400 distinct mountain blocks. This tectonic chaos gave West Texas a landscape you won't find anywhere else in the state. Fact 12. Big Bend's majestic isolation. Tucked into this region is Big Bend country, named for the dramatic curve of the Rio Grande. It's the only place in Texas with true, large-scale mountain ranges. Here, rugged peaks rise dramatically from the desert floor. Big Bend's isolation has preserved its wild character, making it one of the most remote and least visited national parks in the country. Fact 13. The Roof of Texas. Among these western mountains stands the highest point in the state, Guadalupe Peak. Reaching 8,749 feet, this mountain is the crown jewel of Guadalupe Mountains National Park. A tough hike to the top rewards you with panoramic views and a stainless steel pyramid built in 1958 to mark the 100th anniversary of the Butterfield Overland Mail Stagecoach route. Fact 14. The Chihuahuan Desert. Surrounding these mountains is the vast Chihuahuan Desert. This isn't a sea of sand dunes, but a high-elevation desert filled with hardy, unique life. Big Bend National Park protects a huge piece of this desert, which is one of the most biologically diverse in the world, home to thousands of plant and animal species adapted to its extreme climate. Fact 15. The lifeblood of the border. The Rio Grande is more than just a line on a map. It's the lifeblood of this dry region and the defining border between Texas and Mexico. For 1,254 miles, it carves through the land, creating spectacular canyons thousands of feet deep, like Santa Elena Canyon in Big Bend. Its water has sustained life for millennia and has been at the center of countless conflicts and collaborations. Fact 16. A state of climatic extremes. Texas's size means its climate is all over the place. East Texas has a humid, subtropical climate, while West Texas is an arid desert. The Gulf Coast is often in the path of hurricanes, while Central Texas is a blend of coastal humidity and desert dryness. On any given day, one part of Texas might be in a blizzard, while another is enjoying a sunny day at the beach. Fact 17. The historic South Texas Plains. Finally, there are the South Texas Plains, a dry, arid region known for its brush country, or matorral. This landscape was the backdrop for numerous Spanish missions and forts, and its deep historical ties to both Mexico and the United States make it a culturally rich borderland, where you can still see the legacies of colonialism and expansion. The story of Texas is one of conflict, conquest, and clashing empires. This history is so complex, it's famously known by the slogan, "Six Flags over Texas," for the 6 nations that have claimed this land. Fact 18. The 6 Flags Explained. You've probably heard the phrase, but what does it really mean? The 6 flags are those of Spain, France, Mexico, the Republic of Texas, the Confederate States of America, and the United States. Each of these powers left a permanent mark on the state's culture, laws, and identity. Fact 19. The Spanish Colonial Foundation. The first and longest ruling European power was Spain. For over 300 years, Spain claimed this territory, establishing a network of Catholic missions and military forts called presidios. These missions were meant to convert Native Americans and solidify Spanish control, giving rise to the first European towns in Texas, including San Antonio, Goliad, and Nacogdoches. Fact 20. The birth of the Alamo. One of those Spanish missions would become legendary. Established in 1718 as Mission San Antonio de Valero, its chapel would later be known to the world as the Alamo. Originally a home for missionaries and their converts, its sturdy stone walls made it a perfect fortress, a role it would famously play more than a century later. Fact 21. A brief French interlude. Spain's claim was dominant, but not totally uncontested. In 1685, French explorer René Robert Cavelier Sieur de la Salle accidentally established a colony called Fort St. Louis on the Texas coast. The colony failed within a few years, but its mere existence panicked the Spanish and pushed them to ramp up their own colonization efforts. Fact 22. The dawn of Mexican rule. In 1821, Mexico won its long, bloody war for independence from Spain. Just like that, Texas became a territory of the new Mexican nation. The government, eager to populate the vast, empty territory and create a buffer against Native American tribes, opened the door for a new wave of settlers who would change Texas history forever. Fact 23. The impresarios and American settlement. Under Mexico's new colonization laws, men known as impresarios were given land grants to bring settlers into Texas. The most successful was Stephen F. Austin, who brought the Old 300 families to his colony along the Brazos River in 1825. These American settlers, mostly from the southern U.S., were drawn by the promise of cheap land for farming, especially for cotton. The flood of American settlers into Mexican Texas created a culture clash that was bound to ignite. A decade of rising tensions, political betrayals, and small-scale fights set the stage for a full-blown revolution. Fact 24. The short-lived Republic of Fredonia. One of the first open rebellions was the Fredonia Rebellion. In 1826, after disputes over land titles, an impresario named Hayden Edwards and his supporters declared the independent Republic of Fredonia. Mexican troops quickly crushed the rebellion, but it deeply worried the Mexican government, which was starting to see the American settlers as a serious threat. Fact 25. The abolition of slavery. A major point of conflict was the institution of slavery. In 1829, Mexico officially banned slavery. This terrified the Anglo-American settlers, many of whom came from the American South and depended on enslaved labor for their cotton plantations. Although Texas got a temporary pass, the threat to their entire economic model stirred up deep resentment and fear. Fact 26. The Law of April 6, 1830. Alarmed by the Fredonia Rebellion, Mexico passed the Law of April 6, 1830. This law explicitly banned any more immigration from the United States into Texas. It also called for new military posts and stronger customs enforcement. For the settlers, this felt like a betrayal, slamming the door on their friends and relatives and confirming their fears of a tyrannical government. Fact 27. Santa Anna's power grab. The final straw came from Mexico City. In 1835, General Antonio López de Santa Anna abolished the Mexican Constitution of 1824, which had given states a lot of freedom. He replaced it with a new government that put all the power in his own hands. For the Texans, who had sworn allegiance to the old Constitution, this was an act of tyranny that justified rebellion. Fact 28. The Battle of Gonzales and a Cannon. The Texas Revolution officially kicked off with a skirmish over a tiny cannon. On October 2, 1835, Mexican soldiers came to the town of Gonzales to take back a small cannon given to settlers for defense. The Texans refused, raising a homemade flag with a picture of the cannon and the words, "Come and take it." A short fight broke out, and the Mexican soldiers retreated. It was a small fight, but its symbolism was huge. The first shot in the War for Independence. Fact 29. The Siege of Bear. After the victory at Gonzales, the new Texan Volunteer Army marched on San Antonio de Bear, the most important town in Texas. The Siege of Bear was a long struggle, but on December 11, 1835, after days of fierce house-to-house fighting, the Mexican commander, Santa Anna's brother-in-law, surrendered. With this victory, the Texan rebels had driven every last Mexican soldier from Texas soil. The taste of freedom was sweet, but it wouldn't last. The stage is now set for one of the most legendary chapters in American history. The Texans have won a major victory, but a storm is gathering to the south as General Santa Anna prepares his revenge. If you're enjoying this story, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you don't miss the incredible history still to come. And let us know in the comments, what's the most surprising Texas fact you've heard so far? Remember the Alamo, the fight for freedom. The early victories of 1835 filled the Texans with confidence, maybe a little too much. As 1836 began, General Santa Anna was marching north with a massive army, determined to crush the rebellion once and for all. What followed were the darkest and most iconic days of the revolution. Fact 30. A Declaration of Independence. As Santa Anna's army advanced, 59 delegates gathered at a small town called Washington on the Brazos. On March 2, 1836, they formally signed the Texas Declaration of Independence, officially creating the Republic of Texas. It was a bold act of defiance, made in the shadow of an approaching army. Fact 31. The 13-day siege of the Alamo. Meanwhile, Santa Anna's army surrounded the small Texan force inside the Alamo. For 13 days, from February 23rd to March 6th, 1836, a force of nearly 200 Texan defenders held out against thousands of Mexican soldiers. Led by William B. Travis and Jim Bowie, they fought from the crumbling mission walls, knowing help wasn't coming in time. The siege became a powerful symbol of resistance against impossible odds. Fact 32. The legendary defenders. The Alamo defenders were a diverse crew. They included Tejanos fighting for their rights, as well as volunteers from across the US and several European countries. Among them was the legendary frontiersman and former Congressman Davy Crockett. Travis's famous letter to the people of Texas and all Americans in the world declared his intent to never surrender or retreat and sealed the Alamo's place in history. Fact 33. No quarter, no prisoners. In the pre-dawn hours of March 6, 1836, Santa Anna's forces launched their final assault. The fighting was brutal and over in about 90 minutes. Santa Anna had ordered his troops to take no prisoners. The few defenders who survived the initial battle were captured and immediately executed. Santa Anna thought this ruthless act would terrify the rebels into giving up. He was dead wrong. Fact 34. The runaway scrape. News of the Alamo's fall sent a wave of panic across Texas. Terrified of Santa Anna's army, civilians and the new government fled eastward in a desperate exodus known as the runaway scrape. Families abandoned their homes, battling rain and mud in a chaotic flight toward the US border. It was a moment of absolute crisis for the new republic. Fact 35. The Goliad Massacre. The terror was compounded by another tragedy. A second Texan force of over 400 men under James Fannin surrendered near Goliad. They were promised they would be treated as prisoners of war, but Santa Anna personally overturned the order. On Palm Sunday, March 27, 1836, more than 300 of the Texan prisoners were marched out of their fort and executed. Fact 36. The Angel of Goliad. In the middle of the horror at Goliad, there were small acts of humanity. A Mexican woman named Francita Alavez, traveling with the army and now known as the Angel of Goliad, argued with the officers and managed to hide and smuggle a few Texan prisoners to safety, saving their lives. Fact 37. Victory in 18 minutes at San Jacinto. Instead of crushing the rebellion, the massacres at the Alamo and Goliad forged an iron will in the Texan army. Under General Sam Houston, the small Texan force continued a strategic retreat, luring Santa Anna deeper into Texas. On April 21, 1836, near the San Jacinto River, Houston saw his chance. His army of about 900 men launched a surprise attack on Santa Anna's resting army of over 1,300. The battle was shockingly short, lasting only about 18 minutes. Fact 38. A fateful battle cry. As they charged the Mexican camp, the Texans' battle cry was, "Remember the Alamo, remember Goliad." Fueled by weeks of fear, anger, and a thirst for revenge, they completely overwhelmed the surprised Mexican forces in a brutal and decisive rout. Fact 39. The capture of El Presidente. In the chaos, General Santa Anna himself escaped, disguised as a common soldier. He was captured the next day. He was only identified when other Mexican prisoners, despite being told not to, instinctively stood and saluted him as El Presidente. His capture guaranteed the success of the revolution. With the victory at San Jacinto, the war was over. The Republic of Texas was now a reality, an independent nation. But winning the war was one thing. Building a country was a whole other challenge. Fact 40. The birth of a republic. The Republic of Texas existed as a sovereign nation for nearly 10 years, with its own constitution, its own laws, and its own iconic Lone Star flag, which symbolizes its former status as an independent republic. Fact 41. Sam Houston, first president. The hero of San Jacinto, Sam Houston, was overwhelmingly elected the first president of the Republic of Texas. He faced huge challenges, including an empty treasury, ongoing threats from Mexico, and the tough job of governing a rugged and fiercely independent people. Fact 42. The Archives War. The Republic's early years were unstable, perfectly captured by the bizarre Archives War. In 1842, President Houston, fearing a Mexican attack on the capital, Austin, secretly ordered the government's archives moved to Houston. When Austin residents found out, they saw it as a trick to move the capital. A group of armed citizens chased down the wagons and forcibly returned the documents to Austin, a dramatic display of the era's fierce local loyalties. Fact 43. The controversial treaties of Velasco. After his capture, Santa Anna was forced to sign the treaties of Velasco. One treaty was public, the other secret. The public treaty ended the war, while the secret one promised that in exchange for his life, Santa Anna would recognize Texas independence and accept the Rio Grande as the border. The Mexican government, however, immediately rejected the treaties, arguing Santa Anna had signed them as a prisoner. Fact 44. A disputed border. This set the stage for a decade of conflict. The first Texas Congress claimed the Rio Grande as the southern and western border, but Mexico insisted the historical border was the Nueces River, much farther north. This disputed territory would remain a flashpoint for years. Fact 45. The Comanche and the Battle of Plum Creek. The Republic also faced threats from within. The powerful Comanche Nation controlled much of western Texas. After a peace talk in San Antonio turned deadly in what's known as the Council House fight, the Comanche launched a massive retaliatory raid deep into Texas. On August 11, 1840, Texas Rangers and militia intercepted them at the Battle of Plum Creek, a major victory for the Texans that marked the end of large-scale Comanche raids into settled areas. Though it was a proud and independent nation, the Republic of Texas constantly struggled with money and security threats. For many Texans, the end goal was always to join the United States. This is how Texas became the 28th star on the American flag. Fact 46. The long road to annexation. The path to statehood was rocky. Texans had voted for annexation back in 1836, but the issue was controversial in the U.S. The biggest problem was slavery, as admitting another large slave state would upset the political balance between North and South. Finally, on December 29, 1845, President James K. Polk signed the resolution making Texas the 28th state, with the formal transfer of power happening on February 19, 1846. Fact 47. King Ranch, larger than a state. Texas's ranching heritage is legendary, and nothing embodies it more than King Ranch. Founded in 1853, this South Texas giant is the largest ranch in the United States, sprawling across an incredible 825,000 acres. To put that in perspective, King Ranch is larger than the entire state of Rhode Island. It's so big, it covers parts of 6 Texas counties and is considered the birthplace of American ranching. Fact 48. The Spindletop Gusher and the Oil Boom. For most of its history, Texas's economy ran on cattle and cotton. That all changed on January 10, 1901. On that day, a drilling crew hit oil on a hill near Beaumont called Spindletop. The Lucas Gusher blew oil over 100 feet in the air at a rate of 100,000 barrels a day, the most powerful gusher the world had ever seen. This discovery kicked off the Texas oil boom, transforming the state's economy and ushering in the modern petroleum age. Fact 49. The sweet taste of Waco. Not all of Texas's famous exports come from the ground. In 1885, in a drugstore in Waco, a pharmacist named Charles Alderton invented a new soft drink with a unique flavor from a blend of 23 ingredients. He called it Dr. Pepper. It made its national debut at the 1904 Louisiana Purchase Exposition and became one of the most iconic soft drinks in the world, born right in the heart of Texas. Fact 50. The Lone Star Flag's special privilege. Our final fact is a symbol of the state's unique past. Texas is the only state that was an independent, internationally recognized nation before it joined the Union. Because of this, a popular legend says Texas has the right to fly its flag at the same height as the US flag. While federal flag code actually allows all state flags to do this, the myth speaks volumes about the pride Texans have in their history as a sovereign republic, a fitting tribute to the independent spirit that has always defined Texas. From the swamps of the Gulf Coast to the peaks of the Guadalupe Mountains, from the sacred ground of the Alamo to the roaring oil fields of Spindletop, the story of Texas is one of amazing diversity, fierce independence, and massive change. It's a land shaped by geology and defined by revolution. Its history is woven from the cultures of 6 different nations, creating a place that is truly one of a kind. The story of Texas is as big and bold as the land itself. What's the most Texas thing you've ever seen or heard? Share your stories and your own favorite Texas facts down in the comments. If you enjoyed this journey, please give this video a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, subscribe for more stories about the world's most incredible places. Thanks for watching.